Now, the Noteboom variation against d4 is a very tricky customer, and in today's lecture, I am going to show you one interesting trap and counter trap in this line, along with my own story. The story goes as follows. One of my very close friends invited me to visit his house, and when I reached there, he insisted me to play the Noteboom variation which he was researching for a while. Okay, the opening goes as follows. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight to c3, and now black plays the move c6, this deadly triangular, and the idea is very nasty that if white continue with the most popular choice, namely knight to f3, then black can actually take on c4, and in some lines, believe it or not, he can hold on to this extra pawn. Not to mention, along the line there are some cool tricks and traps, and you are about to witness myself falling into one of the deadly traps in this line. Here I continue with a4, natural enough move, stopping the move b5. My opponent responded with bishop to b4, so renewing the threat of b5, and after the move e3, he indeed continued with b5. Okay, I responded with the top choice from the database, namely bishop to d2. However, I think this is slight inaccurate choice from the white, and black can exploit this magnificently with this nice move queen to b6, which actually sets up the platform for the upcoming high profile trap. Now the first thing first, a captures b5 is a bad move here, because after c captures b5, black can consolidate his extra pawn, and top choice from the database b3 doesn't fit well here, as black has a very simple response. Bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, pawn to b4, and after bishop to d2 and the move c3, look at that bishop completely gone back to his original place, and after something like knight to f6. With the extra pawn, black has some tremendous space on the queen side, and no wonder black has some huge scores from this position. So nope, a captures b5 is a wrong choice. However, I found the very accurate response, namely knight to e5. And here my idea was that when black goes for the kingside castle, let's say either knight to f6 or knight to e7, I want to play a captures b5, and after c captures b5, white can deliver this nasty punch, queen to f3, which in fact create some huge problems from the black side. Well, believe it or not, but along the way, I missed that my opponent has done a small change, that is, not playing knight to f6, but knight to e7, and you are able to see why this move will make a great impact in the upcoming trap. Here, to my surprise, black castle on the king side, and I was more than happy to grab the rook in the corner. But now my opponent revealed his nasty trump, and that is knight to c6, trapping down my sweetie. Black has a simple idea, namely bishop b7 and getting the queen, something white has to respond immediately. Okay, in the game I played knight takes c6, and after knight takes c6, engine suggests that the only way to get out of this mess is to play d5. But even after this, black can play the move bishop to b7, and we have some forcing continuation. Queen takes f8, king takes, pawn takes c6, and after bishop takes c6, If you count the material, white has 2 rook and a knight against black queen and 2 pawn. But because of the lack of piece development, this is quite equalish and both the side has their own chances. So this is the best way white can respond in this line. But as happened, humans do not identify all of this. And in the game, I played knight to e4, which turned out as a big time disaster, as after bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, bishop to b7, and when I have no choice to take the rook on the f8, my opponent can simply recapture. And now if you count the material, white has only 2 rooks against queen and a pawn, which is generally okay but not in this position, as white has to still develop some pieces on the king side and castle. Meanwhile, black has some fast activity going on the queen side. And altogether, if you look at the engine evaluation here, it says that it is completely losing from the white. So this is one of the wonderful trap exists in the Noteboom, which you can definitely consider playing in your tournament practice. Well, not so surprising, I managed to lose the game from here. And when the game finished, my friend looked at me and said, "Don't you think I should start a YouTube chess channel?" Well, that was very nasty response on the face. And as if many of you knows me, the story doesn't end here, guys, as watch out for my nasty comeback, which actually happened in the follow-up weekend. So let's see how I deliver the counterpunch with a nice counter trap. Okay, so we set it again and we have the same opening: d4, d5, c4, e6, knight to c3 and c6. But this time around, instead of knight to f3, I played bishop to f4. And my friend already gets shocked as he don't know how to react. So he gone for his routine business, that is taking on c4. And probably a4 is more accurate choice here. However, I played e3, allowing him to play the move b5, consolidating his extra pawn. But here I sets up an amazing counter trap, starting with a4, undermining the black pawn chain. Well, obviously enough, if you look at the database, majority of the games continue with bishop to b4, pinning down the knight and protecting the b5 pawn. But this is exactly white want, as black has straight away fallen into white's counter trap. So before I move on, I like you to pause this video and find out an amazing sequence which gives white a completely upper hand. Did you find it? Let's see. First, we take on b5, and after c takes b5. The reason why we haven't played knight to f3, because now we can deliver queen to f3. And suddenly my dear friend realized that queen to b6 doesn't work here, because white can simply take this rook. And now you don't have knight to c6, as this bishop is simply a goner. So that's why queen to b6 is right out of the equation here. That means black has to play the only move to keep himself in the game, and that is queen to d5, stopping the attack on the rook. But exactly here I unleash my home preparation, and that is queen to g3. What a wonderful move. And after this, I think black is already lost at the opening stage. white has a double threat, namely g7 and on the b8 knight, and unfortunately for black, he cannot defend both of them. So for example, if you play knight to f6, then white can simply take on g7, attacking both the piece. So that is not a good idea. And in the game, my opponent chose the move knight to e7. But after bishop takes b8, he simply realized that he has lost the piece for absolutely nothing. Well, the game finished very quickly. My friend plays knight to f5, attacking the queen. I played queen to f4, and after g5, very simple move, queen to e5, offering the queen trade, which my opponent declined it with rook to g8. But then I was more than happy, as after queen takes, pawn takes and bishop to e5, the dust has been cleared out, and at the end it is white who has emerged with a clear piece advantage. Well, don't go anywhere, because you need to hear the response from my friend, as after the game finished, when I looked at him, before giving me any chance, he rather immediately said, well, you know what, I will stick to my chess rather than the YouTube. Well, that was the interesting story, and most importantly, the trap and the counter trap I have shown in this video. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy and learn some nice tactical ideas in the Noteboom edition. Remember, there are two choices from the white here. Knight to f3 goes into some of the trappy territory from the black side, where if you are a white in this position, then I do recommend you play bishop to f4, and as happened to my friend, you can invite lot of your opponent into the counter trap territory, where the game can be finished very quickly. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.